Do you remember the Labour government saying, the reason we're bringing in digital ID cards is there's growing public support? No, there isn't. That's another bloody lie, total lie. Vague support for the idea of ID cards has gone plummeted from 34% vaguely in favour, not massively. They just said, yeah, I don't mind the idea of it. That has now plummeted to minus 14%. So they really hated. The petition to stop these cards is a phenomenon. It's over 3 million and rising. That is enormous. Now, here's another thing that people are very worried about. The Labour government is dodging the question. Will people be able to gender self-ID on these cards? In other words, you put down, when you give the information, you put down your preferred pronoun, your preferred gender, you know. So if I was one of these blokes in dresses, I would say I'm a woman, I'm female. Now, women's rights campaigners are extremely worried about this. And Professor Alice Sullivan, who's at the University College London, and she carried out a government commission review of data on sex and gender. She called on the government to commit to come right out and say that what will be recorded on these ID cards is people's biological sex, not what they fancy being, but their biological sex. And so far, answer and response has come there none from our government. Now, if people are going to be allowed to say what the hell sex they are on this card, whatever they fancy, then they will be rendered completely and utterly pointless, won't they?
But these ID cards only work if there is a basic level of control and efficiency in the entire system. So I've said this before, they actually work very, very well. Where I am based much of the year, that's in the United Arab Emirates. I don't have a problem with them here. I don't find them intrusive here. Everything is coordinated nicely. I cannot see how they can work in the UK with the level of dysfunction of our public bodies and, frankly, the very good reason not to trust this government anyway. I mean, I saw reports over the weekend that they're going to be used to sort of link up with the tax affairs and God knows what else. And, you know, if they don't even contain fundamental truthful information, like whether you're a man or a woman, just forget it. You know, I just don't think these are going to work. I mean, I've said before, you and I have had this conversation before, I can't see this happening, not for a minute, because it requires such a gargantuan program of efficient procurement. You know, you have to have a whole new system. It's a bit like sort of creating passports from scratch for the whole population, and I just don't think it's going to work. I do think that some form of ID card, whatever you choose to call it, whether it's just a national insurance number and some other data that's held on a card that people find less objectionable, is going to be, it's not going to solve our immigration problem, not even in the slightest.
What's the point of it then? What on earth is the point of it? We don't need it. They didn't put it in their manifesto. Nobody voted for it. We don't need these cards at all. The only reason they want them because they want to control us.
Only foreign nationals should have it. I don't know, but what I can say is that, you know, some form of control and knowing who everybody is, if we can put it in that broadest of sense, is crucial in order to get control of all the people who shouldn't be here. You've got to know who everybody is, and at the moment we have got no idea who half the people are.
I mean, I take that point, but I don't think these cards will achieve any kind of control over the unknowns, if you like. They will continue to be unknown. They will continue to work illegally, just like they do now. The cards won't make any difference. This is just a socialist left-wing government that wants to keep tabs on us in the way that socialist governments do, you know, like East Germany and Russia and North Korea and China. This is what left-wing governments want to do, socialist, pretend socialist governments, if you like. All the practical uses that they say it could be useful for, we don't actually need them. We don't actually need them. It doesn't work. It won't do anything about illegal working. And asylum seekers, of course, will continue to be able to use the NHS and social services and all the rest, just in the way they are now. So this is purely because Tony Blair likes the idea, and therefore Keir Starmer likes the idea.
Well, as I say, I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. I mean, 3 million people is a
phenomenal,
huge,
yeah.
yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal. And as you say, with the asylum seekers, you know, do you know what the most common birth date they give when they enter this country and they're asked how old they are? They're pretty much a significant proportion of them just say 1/1/2000. That's the standard birth date that they give. It's the best thing that they can think of. So it's just a shambles. I don't see it being implemented. These things only work if you really, really mean it. And that means going all out. That means tying it to your ability to do pretty much anything. And that isn't actually our culture in the UK.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
I'm desperate for anything that will help tackle our illegal immigration crisis. But
this won't, though. This won't, though. The only way I can see some kind of ID card system working in terms of the migration crisis is somehow flipping it so that asylum seekers need an ID card to prove that they're here. Yeah. That, I mean, you know, I might go along with that, although I do feel it's the thin end of the wedge. You know, I don't want to give this government any more power than they've already got, and I don't want to trust my data with them, because I wouldn't trust them to run a bath. I really wouldn't. Us giving our data to this government is a recipe for utter disaster. Putin will have all our details in the Kremlin within about 10 seconds flat. You just know that. Let me know what you think, folks. ID cards, you might not have to say whether, well, if you fancy being a woman and you're a bloke, you might be able to do that. Well, what will be the point of them then if we can self-identify our gender on these digital ID cards? They're going to call them Brit cards. I've got a better name for them. It rhymes with Brit.